Thanks for tuning in to Phantastical Careers with yours truly, Kelli Bertinelli. In today's episode, I'm interviewing an essential public servant, Jack Jr. He is a gnome relocator, and he is ready to share with us all about his career and what led him into it. Jack, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, Kelly, thank you so much for having me on your little show here. And my name, you can call me JJ, or as my little granny calls me, because it stands for Jack Jr. after my daddy, Kevin.
Oh, okay. Well, JJ, share with us how you first heard about and began pursuing gnome relocation.
Certainly glad to do it, Kelly. I guess I got learnt about this profession in my last year of school. Now, I was helping my little granny with my homework, and she started saying some of her tongue twisties that she liked so much. Now, this one caught my eye, and it went something like this. How much wood would a woodchuck and wood at a gnome in Rome using wood as a dome for his tiny little home? Whew. And I thought, well, first, thank you little woodchucks for giving all that wood. But second, how can I help get other gnomes? How can I help them get to Rome? Seeing this is where they all want to be, of course.
Oh.
Now, this became the burning desires of my heart. How could I let these poor little bearded Romans suffer homesickness because they don't know how to buy a plane ticket or reach the oars to a boat or go to their beloved city? Well, I had to do something. But how was I going to do this? My little granny suggested looking in the yeller pages, but all three of her books only had white ones. So I searched the web pages, and you won't believe what I found. There's already a group of folk helping with all this. The Gnome Relocating Society of North America. I just couldn't believe I was not alone.
Wow.
Yeah. They connected me with Billy, who was retiring. Now, he was the North American representative for the society. He pretty much taught me everything I know and helped me pass the exam to be a certified genome relocationist. Now, once you're certified, you call them genomes to protect their identity. Just another layer of security.
Genomes.
Yep, that's
okay,
right.
I will make a note about that. Okay, so what does it take to be a certified genome relocationist? Do you have to go to college? Is it training all on the job? What does that look like?
It's rigorous, Kelly, and most everything you take in college, we talk about in our program. We talk about genome behavior and body language. There are facts to be memorized and statistics to be quoted, like 1 out of 3 North Americans and every 2 Canadians would like to pet a genome. And sociologies, they tell us that when 2 or 3 Mexicans and 1 out of 2 Canadians marry, well, their children are more likely to give money to our cause. That's over 200,000 Mexinadians who want what's best for genomes. I mean,
wow.
Yeah, it's so exciting. And what does it take to be certified? Well, how about knowing their Latin name, which is Genomus radicus? Or how about when genomes are stressed out? Well, they line up in this funny little line, and that's what my friends in psychologically call genome sequencing.
Well, I'm glad to know that the Mexicans and Canadians are so supportive of genome relocation. That's good to know. It sounds like you did go to college, you graduated, and then you got this position with the Genome Relocating Society of North America. So I'm assuming you work full time.
Of course.
What is the actual process? Like, how do you get gnomes to Rome?
Please
like,
call them genomes. We just want to protect their security.
Oh, certainly. Excuse me. So how do you get genomes to their home place of Rome?
Well, first of all, you've got to leave it to professionals. You know, please don't try any things that I'm talking about here. Don't try these things at home. For example, let's say you're going to take a boat to the Italia coast. Well, it's just not an option for genomes since they get terribly seasick. And then when they throw up, it's just pure acid. Burns a hole right through the ship. Now, you got to get
that would not work.
No. Kelly, you got to get them on an airplane. It's at that high altitude with those salted peanuts that just puts them in a hypnotic state. Man, a bag of peanuts at 32,000 feet. It's like a bag of pork rinds at a rodeo for you and me. Pure heaven.
Oh.
Yep.
So I was reading on the society's website that they don't, like, because they're only 2 feet tall, they don't need normal, like, airline tickets. So it sounded kind of like they have to be smuggled across borders since they don't have the proper passports. So how do you get through security with a bunch of 2 feet tall people.
Yeah, now security can be tough with those scanning machines and random body checks, all based on how you look or smell, of course. Well, thankfully, under an X-ray scanning machine, genomes look, well, they look just like a bag of pork rinds, so no one ever says anything, unless we fly through Texas or Louisiana, of course. But I can fit about 2 genomes in my backpack and then another 3 or so on my carry-on. Once on the plane, I'll put 1 or 2 behind my back for lumbar support and another behind my head, because their fluffy beards, man, they just look like one of little granny's blue striped pillows that exploded. Now, speaking of pillows, I actually put 3 genomes in a pillowcase, and I thought it was the world's most comfortable pillow. Anyway, once we're on the plane, the poor things are so anxious before the peanuts come that they don't move a muscle. That's when I'm glad I'm doing what I'm doing. It might be hard to understand if you've never seen genomes in their natural habitat of Rome. There, they are so carefree and joyful, they get tickled at the smallest things like ants and pinheads, and they will literally frolic in the tall grass. They ride wild bunnies in the morning, and that evening chew kudzu while reading non-fiction. These guys have it made.
Do the genomes, the gnomes, do they find it comfortable to be that cramped?
Yeah, please call them genomes, Kelly. It's just going to protect their identity and their security. But no, they tend not to get cramped because they're just so scared. And they're just so frightened. They just are still. And until we get up to that high altitude eating some peanuts is when they really start to calm down. And they're in heaven then at that point, because they're just waiting to land in Italia.
I haven't been to Rome in several years, but I clearly was so distracted that I did not see any gnomes running around.
No. If you'll just call them genomes, Kelly, because that'll kind of protect their identity.
Yes, genomes. So I'd like to see if I could interview a genome next time, so I may reach out and see if you could connect me with a couple, because I'd really like to cover some of their migrant stories.
Sure.
But
I've got about 3 or 4 that I can think of who are very conversationalist, and like Pedro and Enrica. Now those 2 are, they'll just talk the ears off a bunny. So yeah, I can connect you.
That would be super useful. But back to your story, Jack. How do you meet the genomes that you work with? Like, how do they contact you? Do you discover them? How does that happen?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. I get asked that question. Well, you're the first to ask me, but yeah, they're hard to find, and they really don't want to be found, Kelly. They're so secretive and paranoid and in the shadows and fearful. You can't just really find them, And really, the only way I've consistently found one is by looking on those dating apps. The biggies like lonelyfarmers.com or the homeschooling courtship consortium.com or the 1+1 engineering Excel spreadsheet for dating and data.gov. Well, that last one requires a security clearance, but Kelly, these genomes, they get one and they're on it, and they're all looking for the same thing, of course, is for somebody to fly them to Italy. Problem is, they're too honest on the dating questionnaire, so nobody ever picks them, because when they write in there, I'm 2 feet tall, single, and a robust introvert looking for a free trip to Italy. Well, Kelly, no one clicks on that profile, not even an engineer. You know what I mean? So, but I do, and it's always a match made in heaven.
I take that as a reminder that I haven't been on a dating site in a while, but next time I do, I definitely will, instead of making fun of someone for being honest, I will applaud them and
there you go.
Perhaps figure out if I can sponsor a free trip to Italy for a genome. But
and so Kelly, you could call them Gnome if you want, just because it's just you and I right now.
Perfect. I suppose the Gnome, Relocating Society of North America, is a nonprofit, but that they pay your salary.
Certainly.
Is the work consistent enough to support you in a full-time capacity?
Sure is, Kelly, because there's so many of these gnomes that are living both in Canada. They're living everywhere, really, and so I'm just trying to get them over. Plenty of work to go around. And then, along with that, does it pay my salary? Well, first of all, you're not going to go rich by working this job, but you are going to be really happy. Now, if you give to the society, it goes for things like administrative costs, plane tickets, dating app subscriptions, and bail bonds, things like that. Now, my salary is only paid by commission and tips, but Genome, they tip really well above 15%. And over half of them barter for my services. Just the other day, a cemetery Genome gave me some cryptocurrency, said it might be worth something someday. And all genomes are good gnomes. I mean, you won't starve on my salary, but you won't eat 3 meals a day either. But, you do it because you love genomes. I mean, and airline miles, really.
Just because I'm curious, what do gnomes have to barter?
Well, you can just say genomes since you'll probably air this on the air just to protect their identity.
Genomes. What do genomes have to barter? Like, I mean, as far as you say that they might barter for your services, but what do they have of value?
Well, you never do know. So sometimes if I come upon a few of them and I'll be like, hey, what's up, gnomies? Y'all want to get y'all to Italy and, anybody got cold hard cash? And a lot of them don't have any cash apps or anything. So they'll just be like, well, they're really good at grooming, and so they can pluck your little nose hair out and your little ears hair and they can really trim up your beard real nice. Yep, and they can work really well in the garden. People don't even notice them when they're in their garden. So anyway, they do a lot for people. Yeah.
I have learned so much this episode. This is a significant installment, listeners, toward my goal of introducing unique jobs to the universe.
It really is.
And I can tell you that as an intergalactic journalist, that there is nothing more depressing than covering an event where no one is enthused about their job. They just have the life sucked out of them by doing something that they don't enjoy.
Yes.
I mean, why pursue boring jobs like nursing and troll herding when you could be making a difference by rehoming genomes to Rome?
That's right, Kelly. Yeah, and thanks for having me on your show. I mean, it's been just a pleasure.
I am so glad. It really has been an honor to get to work with someone doing your kind of work and helping poor displaced genomes in North America make it to their home place of Rome.
Yes, and please, the listeners, give money. And then, as always, I just encourage people, please drink a lot of orange juice.
Listeners, I appreciate you spending time with us today. And remember, you can email me anytime for additional resources or with suggestions on careers you'd like to hear more about. Thanks for joining us, and I'll see you next time on Phantastical Careers with Kelli Bertinelli.